Hey folks, I am Chaz, and welcome back to My Lousy Attitude. Well, The Acolyte is not your father's Star Wars. Hell, it's not even your grandfather's Star Wars. Actually, right now, it's more like your older sister that went off to college, shaved her head, and became a militant Artemisian Wiccan kind of Star Wars. And this Forum article from today makes it apparent. The Acolyte Episode 3 review, one of the most disappointing Star Wars episodes ever made. And my god, are they right. The third episode of Disney's Acolyte is an embarrassment to the entire franchise, though the same could be said for so much Star Wars these days, outside of Andor and the first two seasons of The Mandalorian. And to give you a sample of the dialogue, May, the Jedi are bad. Osha, the Jedi are good. Honestly, the dialogue throughout this entire series is about the same quality. I want to ask Disney the same question. What have you done? This entire episode is a bad joke. We learned that May and Osha lived with their mothers in a society of witches, all of whom are female. It appears they are conceived using the Force or something. Force-using witches are also apparently frowned upon in this galaxy. They call the Force the thread. I'm getting dark side vibes here, though I'm also getting the sense the show will try to be all edgy and make the Jedi out to be the bad guys, which we've seen play out a half a dozen times at this point. Now, I'm going to go on record and tell you that the whole idea of the Jedi Order yanking children from their parents to bring them to an institution has been proven by psychology to be a negative for that child's development. So I never really have been in on this, so that's one of those things about the Jedi that I've never really understood, and it does make them seem kind of shady. Osha and May fight with one another constantly and are very, very irritating throughout the episode. Osha wants to leave her people and May wants to stay. When the Jedi show up and ask to test the girls for their Force powers, they agree to fake not having any, but Jedi Master Saul convinces Osha not to lie, and she says she wants to be a Jedi and leave with him against her mother's wishes. May is upset and threatens to kill her sister, looking in their chamber and burning the entire village witch to the ground, apparently killing everyone. Yeah, honestly, I think if there were some guys there might be some actual fire prevention that may have been installed. Something to think about. It seems clear that there's more to the story, that somehow the four Jedi, Indara, King Toman, Wookiee Jedi, and Saul are somehow complicit. This show has done absolutely nothing but set up mystery boxes, and that's it. You have the mystery box of who is training Osha. You've got the mystery box of what happened to the witches at the end of the episode. This is just terrible storytelling, and it's basically indicative of everything that Disney has done through this past 10 years. Scattered Thoughts. IGN says this episode offers up a lot of tantalizing new layers to how we perceive both the Jedi and the Force, and I would like to know if we use different versions of the word tantalizing. There is no tantalizing here. This is something that's been set up and worked in so that they can get their leftist, feminist, and DEI-infused message. I'm confused about the entire motivation of May, who wants to revenge on the Jedi, but is actually the one responsible for killing everybody, if that is anyone is actually dead. After all, both twins thought the other one was dead. It seems likely none of the witches died after all. Even if she didn't burn everyone to death, she certainly started a fire, and she certainly must believe killed Osha at the very least. The Jedi in episode 2, I guess that's King Toman, killed himself over this, it seems. If there's not more to this story, this will make absolutely no sense whatsoever. And this is the one thing that really gets me. The witch chant was one of the lamest chants in the history of all chants. I wanted to giggle maniacally listening to it. I also wanted to cry. I had the exact same thing. I busted out laughing so hard that my family actually came downstairs to find out what was wrong. The Night Sisters are better witches. Marin from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor is a better female witch character than anyone in this show. I wholly agree. This show had something like $180 million for its budget, and I cannot for the life of me tell where or any of it is gone. Every world feels small. Every set feels claustrophobic. There's no sense of scale or variety. It's also so relentlessly generic, but hey, lightsabers. And that's pretty much where we are with this. I cannot tell where all this money went. Absolutely nothing in this show shows you where it went. The special effects, while better than most, aren't that good. The acting is not that great. The sets are not that enthralling. Nothing about this show presents itself as costing $180 million overall. Rewatching The Escape with Saul and Osha, this room with the pile of bodies is clearly not from a fire, so yeah, there's more to this. But that doesn't change how ludicrous the whole "I'll kill you" bit is, and how May very much tried to burn her sister to death. Of course, it could be also bad production design, in which case maybe they did die from a fire. Or smoke? Regardless, what a weird way to end an episode. The girls fight. The fire spreads for what appears to be a stone cave. Stone! And then suddenly they're all passing all these bodies. We didn't hear any commotion or screaming or battle. It's more confusing than intriguing. Actually, they did. There's a scene where Osha is running away, and she looks up through a grate, and she hears a lot of screaming in the fire and all that. But that's not enough to, let's just say, remove this article from any consideration. This is the chant footage. I'm not going to play it because you don't need to hear me laugh that hard. I do have a theory, and this is a good one, however. Imposters have taken over Star Wars and a lot of other popular genre priorities, from The Witcher to True Detective. Maybe they're fans, they're not. Maybe they're not, but they're certainly masquerading as good storytellers. And they think they know best, making whatever changes they see fit to make their own. And again, this is one of the biggest problems, because we have seen that leftist Hollywood is taking all properties, all the IPs, and even things that they have yet to make, and they are rewriting them from the original author's ideas and making them into something that promotes the message. As Game of Thrones author George R.R. Martin wrote recently, "Everywhere you look, there are more screenwriters and producers eager to take great stories and make them their own. It does not seem to matter whether the source material was written by Stan Lee, Charles Dickens, Ian Fleming, Roald Dahl, Ursula K. Le Guin, J.R.R. Tolkien, Mark Twain, Raymond Chandler, Jane Austen, or, well, anyone. No matter how major a writer is, no matter how great the book, there always seems to be someone on hand who thinks they can do better, eager to take the story and improve on it. The book is the book, the film is the film," they will tell you, as if they were saying something profound. Then they make the story their own. They never make it better, though. 999 times out of 1,000, they make it worse. And absolutely amen, brother. Probably one of the first things that George R.R. Martin has said within the past 5 years that I agree with. I'd say that Star Wars deserves better stories, but George Lucas, didn't do a very good job of that himself in the later years. In fact, The Acolyte keeps reminding me of the prequel trilogy in all the worst ways. And that's it. I've had some people say that Dave Filoni is the main villain in this whole thing, and I say no. George Lucas is the main villain in this whole thing. He started the whole thing off with trying to inject his politics into the prequel series. And then by selling it to Disney, knowing exactly how Disney works, and then walking away from it. By not supporting Nelson Peltz in the takeover attempt at Disney, he basically let all the fans down and kept Star Wars with the Disney that even he says are the white slavers. Oh well, what a shame. I'll keep watching, obviously, and I really do hope it gets better. In fact, next week's episode, which is too short and has an annoying cliffhanger ending, is leaps and bounds better than this one. Haven't watched it yet, couldn't tell you. So that's something to look forward to. Silver linings and all that jazz. Yeah, I'm not in the silver linings mode these days. Actually, I haven't been in the silver lining mode with Star Wars since the start of the prequels. They were absolutely terrible. There was nothing about them that was really any good. Okay, let's go to Bounty Over Comics. The Acolyte makes massive retcon to Star Wars lore, reveals lesbian space witches created life from the Force long before Darth Plagueis. And let's go back down here. In current Star Wars canon, the power to create life via the direct manipulation of the Force is considered a near impossible feat, even for the most storied of its users. So much so, in fact, that prior to the Acolyte's third episode, there had only been one individual who was reportedly able to pull it off, the infamous Sith Lord Darth Plagueis. And we know this from the conversation between Sheev Palpatine and Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith. However, interestingly, in the no longer pre-House of Mouse Star Wars Legends era, it was established that not only had Plagueis actually been able to create life from the Force, but he was directly responsible for the immaculate conception of Anakin Skywalker himself. If there was one thing in the prequels that destroyed Star Wars, it was this. As recalled in the 24th chapter of author James Luceno's 2008 Darth Plagueis novel, drunk on newfound power then, he had attempted an even more unthinkable act, to bring into being a creation of his own. Not merely the impregnation of some helpless, mindless creature, but the birth of a forceful being. However, far from being a bust, Plagueis eventually comes to learn 9 years later that his actions resulted in the Force pushing back against his plan by using his energies to conceive not a Sith legend, but a human being to restore the balance to the galaxy. To me, this is when Star Wars really went off the rails. To give you a little history, I was a total fan when these movies first came out as an 11-year-old. And then the first novel to come out after Star Wars was Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And in Splinter of the Mind's Eye, Darth Vader gets killed. So, of course, there was an entire massive outcry of what's going on, how is the story working, blah, blah. And they actually had to come out and say that, no, this is not canon, this is just a story. After that, I had said, screw it, so most of the EU is a mystery to me, and quite frankly, I don't care. Regardless of this fun bit of EU trivia, thanks to the Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland, Plagueis is no longer the first Force user to manipulate the universal life engine to create it. And this is where this is. Leslie Headland has stated that she wanted to turn Star Wars gay. This is Disney and the people who run it changing Star Wars around to fit the message. Nothing else. There you go, folks. The Force is female indeed. I don't know what to tell you, folks. Like most of all the old Star Wars fans, I have completely checked out. I don't care. And quite frankly, I'm just watching this for the laughs. So stay tuned. I'll be doing the entire series. Thanks again for joining me, folks. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button for the next time that I do this. And I hope to see you soon. Later days.